And if you have any questions about what's happening during the service, please let us know. We also invite you to fill out your connection card. Those are those colorful slips in your bulletin. These help us stay connected as a community, and we really do read each and every one, and we'll collect these later in the service. So I'd like to do a kind of interactive call to worship this morning, which will involve some motions, and you can do them sitting down or standing up. I'm going to show it standing up here. And also what I want to say is please feel free to make modifications. So if you feel like you can't do a certain motion, please modify it for your needs and your body. And if you'd like to just listen, that's fine too. So there's going to be 3 words, I am here, and 4 motions. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate what the first little bit will look like, and then we'll join in together. Alright, everybody still hear me? Okay, alright. So the motions are going to be I am here. And there's a 4th motion, and we'll start back over with the I. So I am here. And it'll be I am here. So we'll go ahead and do that together, and you can use any of this. We'll just do a couple of repetitions of that. And if there's a place where you feel like you want to solve it, and that's really
now put lost sound.
Hear him singing?
sound is muddy or, not.
We'll turn back to number 531, Holy Presence, Holy Teacher. Again, this isn't the first time we sung it, but again, a newer one for us. A really lovely melody for us to join together on. Number 531. To this place for mind's reflection, faith examined but addressed, be a witness to your teachings, and our faithful search be blessed.
As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man called Matthew sitting at the tax collection station, and he said to him, "Follow me." And he got up and followed him. As he sat at dinner in the house, many tax collectors and sinners came and were sitting with Jesus and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But when he heard this, he said, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. For I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." While he was saying these things to them, suddenly a leader came in and knelt before him, saying, "My daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her, and she will live." And Jesus got up and followed him with his disciples. Then suddenly a woman who had been suffering from a flow of blood for 12 years came up behind him and touched the fringe of his cloak, for she was saying to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be made well." Jesus turned, and seeing her, he said, "Take heart, daughter, your faith has made you well." And the woman was made well from that moment. When Jesus came to the leader's house and saw the flute players and the crowd making a commotion, he said, "Go away, for the girl is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. But when the crowd had been put outside, he went in and took her by the hand, and the girl got up. And the report of this spread through all of that district. The word of the Lord.
Well, good morning. Wow. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, thank you. Sorry. The readings this morning and the readings that we'll have over the next little while all are interesting stories of people kind of encountering Jesus or encountering God and being shaped and changed as a result. And they fit nicely. These are the readings actually from the lectionary, but they fit really nicely with the series that we're going to be doing for the next little while. It's about 7 weeks, where we are sharing our stories with one another. And the reason that we're doing this, the worship committee really wanted to take a little bit of time in our service to make space to get to know each other a little bit more than we do kind of over coffee, or we may see someone and we never really get to learn that thing about them. So we're going to take a little time in our services over the next little while to get to hear just parts of one another's stories. And so we've asked people to sign up. There's actually a sign-up link, and it'll be in the Wednesday email. And I appreciate those who have boldly signed up for the first week. Because if you sign up for the first week, you haven't seen anyone else do this. You don't even know what I'm going to do to introduce this. And I think we all have a little bit of good level of humility. Like, I don't want to go, like, why would my story matter? But I want to encourage each of you. Your story does matter. And you are the people who we want to hear from. So please sign up for the other weeks. These are just little snapshots, 7 to 10 minutes, really a story around something that has formed you or is forming you. And so that's kind of the prompt that we've given. This morning, Camry is going to share and Skylar is going to share. And the way we're going to do it is, like, Camry will come up in just a moment. She'll have the chance to share this part of her story. Then we'll take just 1 minute in silence. I'll come up and lead this. We'll take 1 minute in silence just to sit with what Camry has shared with us. And then we'll have a chance for us all, to ask some questions. Now, obviously, we can't all ask all of our questions to Camry from what she says or what she doesn't say this morning. So I encourage you, we'll probably have time for three questions this morning. But find Camry later in the fellowship time, or get hold of her and follow up. So we're kind of hoping that these just get us going in conversation. They're not the end all. Does that make sense? So after that question time, then we'll repeat that same little bit with Skylar. So Skylar will come up, share a story, moment of silence, ask some questions. So that's the way we're going to approach it. We're going to try it today, see how it works. Let me invite up Camry.
Hi, good morning. Feels different to be doing something other than reading a scripture up here. It's kind of cool. I went to Goshen College from 2005 to 2010. I really like science, so I triple majored in biochemistry, molecular biology, and environmental science with a concentration in conservation biology, and then I minored in music. Unsurprisingly, I spent a lot of time in the science building. That's where I normally was. I like science. I began really liking it in middle school. We had to carry our backpacks with those big textbooks home for homework, and it always seemed like I had, 2-3 homework questions left before the end of the day, so I had to put all of these folders and big textbooks in my backpack, and I didn't like that. It was heavy. But whoever made the science textbook was really thinking, because they split it up into 4 and they were skinny, and I appreciated that. So it made me less frustrated doing the homework for science, and I don't know, that left an impression on me. In high school, I took a marine biology night class at a neighboring district. So I was in the Wani district, which is Wakarusa and Napanee. They took parts of their names and put a hyphen in between them and said, we're a district. The class that I took was with the Goshen Community Schools, and then, so we had night class, and then during spring break, we went to the Florida Keys and got to stay at this hotel for the week and go swimming and go to John Pennekamp, and I thought, great, I love science. By my 5th year of college, I was wishing that I had taken something else, not a different major, but some class that wasn't required for my majors and wasn't science. I had taken an elective my freshman year. I had taken pottery, really liked it. I had taken some pottery or ceramics classes in high school. But most of even my electives were taken up with science classes because I had to fit all those requirements in to get the major. And then I realized something. I had been taking violin lessons, but I could take a lesson in something else, and it would count for my music minor, but it would be more of like a choice, an elective for me. And I didn't want to buy another instrument, and then I realized that in the Wreath Recital Hall, there's an organ. So I signed up for organ lessons. Professor Turgeson taught me the organ lessons. She had been my professor for the Intro to Keyboard class, which everybody who's a music major or minor has to take. And let's just say I was one of the people who really didn't have a piano background, so she was well aware of my utterly basic keyboard skills, but decided to teach me. I was used to playing violin. I played it since 1991. It was very familiar for me. And with a violin, your left hand plays on the fingerboard, and that determines the pitch, and your right hand holds the bow, and that does volume and articulation. Organ is different. You have your hands, which do the pitch, and then depending on how you play the keys and which stops you have pulled, that determines the volume. Plus, you use your feet. There's keys down there for your feet. It's a very good core exercise because you're keeping yourself balanced. I started the organ lessons in August in the fall semester, and in early October, I showed up to my lesson with a medical boot on my left foot. This obviously was going to impact the lessons. I had run the Chicago Marathon again. I hadn't planned on it, but my mom turned 50 that year, and as a present, she wanted somebody to run with her. And my whole family sort of looked at me, and I said, okay, I'll run it again. So I did. And around mile 9, I felt a pinch in my left foot. And I wasn't going to have a pinch stop me from running something I had trained so hard to do, so I finished it. And it really hurt the next day. Come to find out, it was broken. This meant that I had to put learning the footwork on hold and focus on my hands until my foot was healed enough to use that too. For the first time in the song I was learning, I played the upper level keyboard with my right hand. So on the piano, you have just one. On organ, you can have multiple. With my left hand, I played the lower keyboard, and plus my feet were going. And when I got to the part of the song where your hands do this and switch, it's like my brain just shut off. I was completely overwhelmed, and my brain didn't know how to handle that. That being said, it was a neat challenge and definitely a different way to use my brain. So what did I take away from my semester of playing the organ? I can play a song on the organ. I played some short little ones and then actually learned one song, and that's what I played for, is it juries? At the end of the semester, you play a song in front of professors, and you're graded on that, as well as your teacher's input from throughout the semester. Playing an organ put me in a place where whatever I played was out in the open. With a violin, you can go to a practice room. With an organ, you got to sit there. You can't move it. I had science classes that always started at 8 a.m., and it was really hard to get on the schedule for the organ, so what they did is they gave me the key, and I practiced from 6:45 to 7:45 a.m., Monday through Friday, and then sometimes in the afternoon. Very few people heard me in the morning, of course, but in the afternoon what would happen is I would be playing, and then once I stopped, I would hear voices, and I would jump because they're behind you, and I would see that there is a group of prospective students touring, and they got to hear whatever I was playing loud and clear, and I like to have fun and pull different stops. I'm like, oh, I'm going to sound like, I don't know, a piccolo or like a flute or a trombone. And yeah, I had fun, so they got to hear that. So my takeaways from this experience is that when you have an opportunity to try something, go for it. It could be fun, and even if you don't get a degree in it, you can learn from it. It kind of reminds me of, I've tried some different spiritual practices, and I thought, this is different. Am I really, I don't know, getting proficient at it or something? And part of the experience is just to have the experience, not necessarily if you become professional at something. It's nice to try new things. So that's my story for the morning. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Camry. Don't go far, but we're going to take a minute in quiet. I'm going to hit the lap. So just take a minute and consider. What is something Camry said? What stood out to you? What do you want to ask about? So we'll have the microphone, and let's try it this way. If maybe 3 of you have a question, just raise your hand. Someone in the back. Okay, Annalise will come around to the microphone and ask you. But again, these are just starters because I expect you all have lots of questions for Camry. But who would like to ask a question from what Camry shared? And just introduce yourself as well. Okay, I'll get out of the way.
Hello, it's Melissa. So there's high threshold for pain tolerance. Can you say more? You ran a marathon with a broken foot?
Yeah, so I had run the Chicago the first time in 2008, and didn't finish. I got 20 miles in. It was really hot. It was like 95 degrees in Chicago on the highway. And I thought, I really don't want 2 DNFs back to back. And I didn't realize it was broken. It felt like a pinch, like maybe a really specific muscle cramp. And it was only afterwards that I realized, like, oh, there's more to it. I would never try to finish a marathon if I knew that I had that kind of injury. Yeah, there was lots of walking involved, but I finished.
Hi, this is Sarah. I'm wondering what you did with all the science after college.
I've had a variety of jobs. My first job after college, I was an electrofisher with the Elkhart County, which is in the Goshen area. And so I would go out on a boat and not kill them, just lightly shock the fish to stun them and then scoop them up. And that's part of looking at the ecosystem and how well the water quality is. You also take samples and look at different metrics. I worked in home health care for a year, and then I went to grad school for biostatistics. So I did trauma analysis in Indiana. I did COVID analysis in the city of Houston, and now I'm doing infectious disease surveillance here at the city of Baltimore. So mostly health department stuff.
Do you still run?
I do, not at a marathon level, but I jog around. It's harder with 2 kids. Yeah. Jean?
As a parent with a child about your age, I totally agree with you that we should try new things. But I think one of the things about trying new things is that it really helps to build, if you have a solid foundation to build it on. So all the things that you've done, you had a solid foundation, and you could improve on that. But for example, for me, if I wanted to learn French, it would be very, very difficult because I don't have any background. So, building foundations is also a very important thing in terms of trying new things.
That's a very good point.
Thank you, Camry. I think, can we clap? I don't know. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So again, hopefully there's things that now you know a little bit more about Camry and have questions to ask. So let me invite up Skylar Stewart.
So, about a year ago, I was coming through Baltimore on the way to Edinburgh in Scotland. I had an MA program lined up. To me, that was my next step in life after teaching in Japan for the 2 years prior. It was supposed to be like a shorter term stay, just a couple visits with family and friends and church, but I'm still here. It's been interesting figuring out exactly what kept me here and what I was going to do in Baltimore. The big one, though, I think is the community I found, and beyond that, the beginning of a home in Baltimore. It was pretty lonely working in Japan, actually. It's a very isolating place to be a professional, especially teaching English out in the countryside. I made some good connections, with coworkers, Japanese, not Japanese, outside of work, but just day-to-day interactions, it's very different culturally. I needed something different. And I also got to finally start taking hormones in the back half of 2024. And getting consistent hormone access in Japan is a lot harder than it is in a lot of other places. So, just for a combination of reasons, I had to make a change in my life. So around that time, I'm thinking, okay, I need to leave Japan, and I want to go back to school. So ideally, I would have some money going into the back to school part, but the English teaching paycheck in Japan is basically month to month, so no savings. Still choose to go back to school, right? Because I can take out loans. Hopefully Trump in office doesn't devastate the financial sector too bad. So that's the best plan I had at the time. So that's what I moved my life in order to do. I got to stay with my family in California in the beginning of 2025 before I made my way over here to the East Coast. That time wasn't super productive, but it didn't really need to be. I mostly just needed to recover from some pretty serious burnout at work. I got to sleep a lot and watch a lot of TV. Got to eat dinner with my mom and walk on the beach. It was a good break. And Baltimore was also supposed to be a break. That last stretch before I go back to school and all that work and business with that. But something about this place, and I do mean this place, the church, as well as this place, the city, made me feel like it was a safe spot to stay, at least a little while longer. As I brought up earlier, funding for university doesn't come from nowhere, and Trump had only been in office for a little while, but the amount of money in my educational funds actually went down a significant amount that I would have to borrow, like way more money I was comfortable borrowing. So I thought I'd, stay here a little bit longer, find a job, get some savings. And staying longer term means finding a place to stay longer term. So I've been really happy to have the connection at RHHP where I live now, because, one of my pain points living in Japan was coming home every day and it's just me in my apartment. It's really nice just being able to run into someone on the way to do laundry, swapping stories and ingredients, cooking in the kitchen, and, just generally sharing space with people doing their own thing, figuring out their lives with citizenship and work and all that stuff. Work-wise, I've been at the William S. Baer School as a paraeducator sub. So this is a special education-focused public school. It's just up the road from Coppin State University, very close to where I live at RHHP. My day-to-day is a little bit different every day. For the first 6 months, I was substituting in a classroom for the regular paraeducators when they're out. Paraeducator, by the way, is kind of like a combination teaching assistant, mobility aid, you got to help the kids go to the bathroom, joke around, be a bit of a clown. It's not a role I planned for, but it's been one that I've been happy to embody. It's helped my empathy go a long way. There are a lot of bright kids who just have different communication and mobility needs, and it's been really transformative being a support for these kids. Currently, I'm more of a one-on-one, where paraeducators are supports for an entire class. One-on-one works with one student. This is a kid who needs extra support because they have disruptive behaviors in class. A lot of these kids, they just don't get the attention they need and hope and all that help at home and at school, so they tend to act out. Give them some extra help, they tend to do better. It's been really, really fun to work with all these kids. But I've been able to meet all the adults working in my building too, especially the local Filipino population. They're real bright spots and always willing to lend an ear or a plate of food, and I'm lucky to have found my partner, Eileen, there too. She's in the audience. Being supported by other adults who know these kids better as I adjust to the working environment, it's helped me to be just a lot more patient in general. And a big help in terms of queer community, again, being more comfortable in my own body, has been this Queer Baltimore Fight Club. I might have talked to a couple of you about it. I say I'm going to MMA on Saturday. It's primarily a space for queer folks to get together, practice self-defense, spar, and it's free. It's pretty fun. I've made some good friendships in this group. It's a consistent excuse to get out and exercise. I'm trying to get to a point where I can compete in a tournament, but I haven't been consistent enough with actually attending to say I'm there yet, so that'll be something in the future. And last, I've had all the support, conversations, and connections both within and outside of North Baltimore Mennonite Church. I've been really happy to be part of this community. I schedule my week every week around attending small group on Wednesdays. I try to say yes to opportunities for doing things in the service, like talking right now. I'm incredibly grateful that Baltimore has been a safe space for me to land, explore, and grow doing so many things. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to stay here, but I know that if I do leave, I'll be able to come back home here. Thanks. I'm good.
I know. So we'll take a moment. And then, like we did with Camry, we'll make space for a couple questions for Skylar. Again, I hope you reach out to Skylar beyond this time. But we'll come around with a microphone. Who would like to ask a question of Skylar this morning?
We're glad you're here and that you could spend so much time with an NBMC family. How is your background in linguistics affecting your current and future plans?
Well, I'm still shooting to try and get back to this program in Edinburgh, but for the next school year, and by next school year, I mean not September in like 3 months, but September next year. So I'll be here, a little bit longer term. I do still really want to go to school there. It's a really great program. As far as linguistics goes, I try to keep up on publications and my own reading and my own research. Hasn't really come up as much at work, but it's something I'm still very actively invested in.
Good morning, this is Cassidy. Skylar, thanks for sharing your story, and also really glad you're here and you spent this time with us. I just wanted to hear maybe a little bit more about comparing and contrasting your daily lived experience in Japan, and then when you came back here. I spent a small amount of time there, and it's such a contrast, and I'd love to hear more from your perspective about what that was like. Thanks.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this without being, rude. I guess it's just the way that politeness is expressed in Japan is very different from the way that politeness is expressed here. People will very surface level, be bowing and saying nice things and doing nice things, but when it comes to living longer term there and trying to invest in longer term relationships, it's a little bit strange that most of the conversations I had with people were not, oh, you're staying here and you're doing this work, we're, happy to have you. It's more, oh, you've been here for 2 years, when are you leaving? So it's just it's not great. But you know, it's person by person. So there are still some great connections that I've made, and I've maintained those friendships online. It's just kind of the day-to-day work culture, that kind of stuff. Just it wasn't working for me. So.
You said you weren't sure how long you'd be able to stay. And I wanted to understand more about that, about why that is.
Oh, just because, you know, I have a really cool program lined up that I'd like to do in a different country, but also we are living in a country where it is actively hostile to transgender people. So, you know, I have a plan. I might have to expedite that timeline if things get worse, but it's day by day.
How many students do you work with in your regular day?
So right now it's just the one kid in the one class, but the way that it works at this school is, you know, basically every adult in the classroom is helping do everything. It's very collaborative. Current class is about 9 kids. The class sizes are a little bit smaller at the school that I'm at, just because the kids need more support and attention, and you can't really do that with, you know, bigger 26 to 30 kid classes.
Thank you, Skylar. Thank you for your questions. Appreciate you. And yeah, Camry, both jumping in first to share your stories. And I encourage the rest of you to sign up because we want to hear these and to follow up and ask more questions of Camry and Skylar as well.
As we transition from hearing stories to preparing for communion, we'll sing number 466, The Bread We Break is Telling, number 466, and voices together. We stay seated for this song. The bread we break is telling a greater brokenness, the broken human nature that dared to build a cross and crucify the Savior who came to heal and mend until he comes in glory. We break the bread again. The bread we break is telling the mending that will come, surpassing all the breaking that human hands have done. For holy love has shattered the tomb where Jesus lay, and he was known when sharing the bread at close of day. As light breaks into rainbows to show